Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston, and today I am back for episode number 7 of my Road to the Show series here on MLB 17 The Show. And it has been a while since I made one of these videos, but there is a pretty big story going on in Major League Baseball right now, and I'm sure you all know what it is. It is the Cleveland Indians setting the American League record with a 21-game win streak that was set today, the day that I am recording this, with their third straight victory over the Detroit Tigers. They will look to continue it against the Kansas City Royals this weekend. I believe they have a 4-game set against them starting on Thursday. This video I hope will go up on Thursday, so that all of this will be fairly recent. I would hate it for them to lose tomorrow and me have not posted this video yet, but either way, it doesn't really matter, I guess. So obviously, I mean, you know, there's not much in the way of an opinion to have on this. I mean, 21 straight in baseball is almost unheard of. It ties really the win streak record for the National League too. The technical record is held by the New York Giants from 1916, which got to 26 games. But little known fact, they actually had a tie in the middle of that streak that they were unable to continue due to darkness, I believe. And it might have been like the second part of a doubleheader, and that's back when they had scheduled doubleheaders. They didn't just do doubleheaders for rainouts. They did doubleheaders just as a part of the normal schedule, and I'm pretty sure they just ran out of daylight for one of those games in the midst of that win streak. So that's more of an unbeaten streak than a win streak, which I think, you know, it's fair to point out that that is a difference. Now, I mean, it's also, you know, it is a little bit unfair to that Giants team to say that, okay, well, you know, you might as well count that as a loss because, you know, it wasn't, obviously. It was a tie, and that isn't a loss, but it's also not a win, so kind of semantics, but at the same time, I think it's an important distinction to make at the very least. Maybe you have to put an asterisk next to that Giants quote-unquote win streak from 1916, but really the most impressive part of it is just the fact that it's happening in 2017. I mean, for one, baseball is not a sport suited for teams reeling off 21 games in a row. There's just too much inherent volatility and variability within one game, within a one-game sample, within a 9-inning sample. You know, even the best teams in baseball history have only won around 74% of their games, whereas the best team in NBA history, at least regular season record-wise, was the Warriors from a couple years ago. They won 73 games. That's closer to like an 89% winning percentage. So, you know, all you have to do is look at that difference right there to kind of understand the difference in the variability between a sport like baseball and a sport like basketball. So baseball is just, you know, the better team doesn't win as often as it does in football or basketball. So just 21-game win streaks are insane because of that. And the fact that they're doing it in 2017 when, you know, I think it's pretty safe to say that we have more competitive balance now than we did in the 1910s, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, which if you look at the list of longest win streaks in Major League Baseball, pretty much all of them, aside from the Oakland A's in 2002 and this Cleveland Indians team, happened before World War II. I think 1947, there was one of the longer ones, maybe one of the 21-game win streaks. I don't quite remember the exact. I don't have the list up in front of me, but either way, it just doesn't happen nowadays. We have, you know, competitive balance. We have things like revenue sharing, and, you know, other, you know, draft pick compensation stuff that is, you know, that is implemented to try and keep the league fair so that the best teams can't just pluck the best players. You know, like was kind of the case for a long time in Major League Baseball, and, you know, obviously back then they also didn't have the reserve clause, so, you know, teams could just hoard good players and they would own their rights for their entire careers if they wanted. They didn't have to worry about players leaving for free agency and taking the best contract from the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox or teams like that. So, you know, different eras, and it's definitely, I think, more impressive to do it in this era than it was, you know, to do it before World War II when, like I said, many of these quote-unquote longest win streaks in Major League history did happen. And perhaps even the more impressive thing to me, I think this might even be more impressive than the 21-game win streak, is the fact that the Indians' Pythagorean win-loss in those games is 20-1, which is insane. Their run differential, I don't know what the Pythagorean win-loss for the A's was in the midst of their 20-game win streak, but I know it wasn't 20-0 because their run differential wasn't as good as the Indians. And basically, Pythagorean win-loss is win-loss solely based on runs and runs allowed. It's not a perfect stat by any means, but it is a little bit indicative of when a team has been getting lucky. say a team is 15-5, but their Pythagorean win-loss is 11-9, then they've been getting a little bit lucky in that 20-game sample, and as that sample increases, they're likely to play closer to their Pythagorean win-loss. There was a pretty good example in my OOTP series I did this year where I had a team that was playing about 500 at the trade deadline, and I considered selling, but pretty much just held on to all my pieces, and then we ended up making a run at the end of the year, and I don't remember if that was my World Series year. Honestly, I haven't touched that save in a few weeks. Also, that was a crazy double play right there. You should go back and watch that last clip. It went off my glove and pretty much bounced right to the second baseman who had his foot on the bag and then made the throw to first, so we still got the double play there. Still technically a 6-4-3 double play, although a pretty unconventional one at that. But back on topic, so the fact that the Indians' Pythagorean win-loss is 20-1 in these 21 games, I think just kind of illustrates the pure dominance that they have displayed during this win streak. And another good one is the fact that they've only trailed in 4 of the 189 innings they've played during this win streak. That's another pretty crazy one. And you just look at some of the games, I mean, they're whooping teams. They beat the Tigers 11-0 the other day. They were whooping on the White Sox, which I guess is kind of, you know, I mean, and that is another thing. They haven't played the absolute best competition, but you know, you only play the teams that are on your schedule, and I'm not going to sit here and discredit a 21-game win streak, that is for sure. So, just a mighty, mighty impressive feat by the Indians, and frankly, it all means nothing next month, because winning 21 games in a row is not going to help them win a best-of-5 series. They are playing very good baseball right now, and if they continue to play this well in October, they have a very good chance of repeating as winners of the AL pennant and potentially, you know, winning their first World Series since 1948. But quite frankly, regular season record, momentum, all that stuff has very little to do with success in the postseason. The postseason, as I've said 100 million times, we'll say 100 million times more, is largely random, and it would not surprise me in the least bit if the Indians lost in the American League Division Series. I mean, you've seen it time and time again. The Colorado Rockies in 2007 won 21 out of 22 games, I believe, before the start of the World Series against the Red Sox, and they got swept. So I think the win streak's cool. I'm rooting for it to continue for as long as possible. I think the Indians are, you know, showing themselves to truly be a model organization in Major League Baseball just due to their player development ability. It seems like year after year they have guys coming up to the big league level and contributing and turning into really good players. I think Jose Ramirez is a really good example of that. He's like one of the best players in the AL now. But anyway, let me know what your guys' take is on the win streak, thoughts or whatever. And let me know if you think the Indians are going to get back to the World Series. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I certainly think they have a good chance, but the AL is really good. I think the Astros are going to put up a good fight. We'll see about the Red Sox. I don't have huge confidence in them. They're not inspiring me a ton as of late with their play. Their offense, I think, has been pretty putrid since July 4th. I think they have like an 83 WRC plus, something like that. Not very good, but we'll see. Maybe their pitching can carry them. And, you know, who knows? Like I said, playoffs, very, very random, very volatile. A team like the Twins or the Yankees could even make a run. So we will see. But that is going to do it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'm out. Peace.